Did you remember the first time you lived home? You probably started living in an apartment because it was the most affordable option. Then, as your income increased, you moved to a more private space like a single family home. Finally, if you keep watching all my videos and learn about real estate investing, you will end up living in a mansion. Same thing happens with companies. They start renting out a flex space, and as the company becomes successful, they move to a warehouse or to a manufacturing space. In this video, I'm going to teach you the different types of industrial buildings and what are their features, like number of docks or ceiling clearance, and which one makes more sense for you to invest in based on your risk profile. So stick around to find out. Okay, so let's take a look on the three most important subtypes of industrial properties. So we have three main types of industrial properties. That it's flex, it's the warehouse, and the manufacturing. The first one is kind of between an office and a warehouse or a manufacturing facility. So it's the smallest space. This is for startups or service companies that, for example, construction companies or cleaning companies. So, and the warehouse, it's more like big companies or medium-sized companies that maybe also it should be for like companies like Amazon, like e-commerce companies. And finally, the manufacturing, it's for big companies, for big industrial companies, then they are going to make some kind of product there. So in the manufacturing, we have light manufacturing and heavy manufacturing. What we are going to talk here, it's mostly light manufacturing, because when we are talking about heavy manufacturing, that's more like specialized types of buildings, like a refinery, or maybe could be like a automotive company like the Ford company or Toyota, something like this, very huge. But here we are going to talk about light manufacturing, like these companies that produce kind of, for example, chips, microchips, or they produce like parts for the automotive industry. So this is the what we are talking about here, because for the heavy manufacturing you need a more amount of space. Those are called Tier 1 companies, and these most of the tenants we have here in the manufacturing will be Tier 2 companies, and here in the flex spaces maybe will be Tier 2 or Tier 3 companies. Okay, so what's the difference between these three subtypes of industrial properties? First of all, we have the ceiling clearance. Okay, since the flex spaces are for startups or companies that are small to medium sized, they don't need much clearance, because they don't have like big racks or big amounts of stock, so they just probably they are let's say a construction companies, so they have some materials in the warehouse, and they just go pick up the materials and go do the job on the city, maybe 10 or 20 minutes away. Okay, so they don't need like racks, like big clearing spaces. But in the warehouse they need it, because think about, for example, Amazon, that is a big warehouse company. Okay, so they have these big racks, and they have automatized racks with robots. So they are looking for big clearances. At least for Amazon, I would say 30 feet. So manufacturing, same thing. They don't have racks, but they have cranes. Okay, they have to transport one product from one production line to the following line. So they need big clearance. Okay, it's not that it's as important for the warehouse, but it's important. Okay. Also, we have the high docks. What is a high docks? It's when you go with a truck and you load the truck inside the facility. The truck just connects with the dock, okay, and you load it from the inside, but the truck remains on the outside. Okay, that's a dock. So for flex facilities, it is desirable, but it's not really important, because I mentioned for these kind of companies, they are like construction companies, they are like cleaning companies, like these kind of companies that they may have some stock inside, but they want their trucks to get inside the building and then they load it with the workers inside. Okay, they don't have like big trucks, okay, or big trailers. So for the flex, the high docks are desirable, and for the warehouse is very important, because warehouses are many companies that rent a warehouse are logistics companies, for example, like Amazon again, and they need to load the trailer, and then the trailer goes to maybe another state. Okay, so this is for big trailers or big trucks. Okay, so you need for the warehouses, this is very important, the high docks. And finally, for the manufacturing, it is important, but it's not as in the warehouses, because many, for example, in the manufacturing, they have, let's say they make pieces or some automotive pieces, and then they load the truck, but maybe 2 times a week, okay, or 1 time a week they load a big truck from the inside. So they don't need as many high decks as the warehouse, because the warehouse it's getting in and getting out the transport, the logistics, and the manufacturing maybe it's 1 or 2 times at a week. Okay, so you have to consider for sure in manufacturing buildings, but not too many high docks. It is also important the ramps in the flex. The ramps is, as I said, you get with the truck inside, with the vehicle inside. So it is very important to have in the flex buildings for these construction companies or cleaning companies or these service companies to get with the vehicles inside the property, the building. So this is a must in the flex space. And in the warehouse it's also important, because once in a while you need some kind of, for example, if you need to fix something inside, you need like some kind of forklift or something to get inside the plant and fix that. But you need more like the high docks. But it is important, maybe in a warehouse you may have let's say 8 high docks, but maybe 2 ramps, okay, just in case you need it. And also finally in manufacturing it is more important, because you have many machinery getting in and out from the factory, so you need at least 1 or 2 ramps to get with the machinery in and out from the factory. Okay, so it is important also in manufacturing. The column space. Usually in the flex space you only have you don't have like many columns, but it is not much important, because remember, the higher the height of the building, the more columns you will have. You will try to separate the columns. Okay, so since this warehouse and manufacturing are taller buildings, you will separate more the columns, and also because you will put racks inside in the warehouse, you will put the racks and you need the space. So for warehouse, it is important to have a large space between columns. In flex, that's not too much important. At least you need to go inside with your truck, and it is not very important because you don't have that much of stock inside. But for warehouse, it is important because you have racks. Also for manufacturing, it is also important because you have the production lines inside, and you don't want to get the column in the middle of the production line, you know. So it is also important to have a large space between columns in manufacturing buildings. Also for the office space, since the flex buildings, it's a mix of office and warehouse or manufacturing building. You will have 20 to 50% of the space on the with office, okay? Because this small company will have all this their team inside, and then they will have like a warehouse in the other half of the building, okay? Or maybe a manufacturing company, small manufacturing company inside. And for the warehouse, you don't have like a big team inside. For, let's say, for these Amazon companies, what you need is warehouse. You don't need as much office space. So for this, it's 5 to 10% office space here on the warehouse. And finally, for the manufacturing thing, you need a little bit more personnel there. Okay, because you need like the engineers and all this, like the design team and all the supervisors, that this is office jobs, so they need to be inside. So probably you will have 10 to 20, maybe 20, maybe 30% of office space, okay, on the manufacturing buildings. Also the rents on the flex space, rent per square feet. Rent per square feet here in the flex space, it's higher. It's higher. Well, the space is smaller, but the rents are higher. Why the rents are higher? Because you have more office space. Since you have more office space, you have more floors and all those expensive things. So that makes the rent to go up. So it's higher per square feet. Okay, but this space, you don't need like big power, like big infrastructure here, because you don't have a big manufacturing company. But the thing is, since you have office, it makes the rents go higher. Okay, and then the warehouse, we have medium rents are in the middle of the manufacturing and flex, because you just need the space and you don't need a lot of infrastructure. You need, because you don't need so much power, so much water, because you are only moving stock inside, but you are not producing anything, you are not making anything, so you don't have energy or water or big sewer. That is the case on manufacturing. Since you are making something, let's say you make sodas, or you make iron, cast iron or something, I don't know, or maybe automotive. So you need a big amount of power, so your infrastructure has to be big. You need a lot of power, you need a lot of sewer, a lot of water. So that makes the rents to go higher, okay? Because of the amount of infrastructure you need. And finally, the cap rate. The cap rate here and the flex, it's high. I've told you before that you have a high cap rate when you have more risk. And since these flex companies are smaller, you have more risk there. So the investor asks for that extra amount of risk, and that becomes reflected on the cap rate, okay? So for the warehouse, you have something in the middle of the flex and manufacturing, okay? Because again, you have here like a mix of things. you have logistics companies and you have manufacturing companies. Usually, manufacturing companies are more stable, are more credit worthy than logistics companies. Okay, because now with the internet and all those things, you can create a big logistics companies like in 5 years. Okay, but or 3 years, I don't know, selling by internet. But maybe in the next 5 years, the company is gone. So it's more risk for the logistics companies. And since you have a mix here in the warehouses for logistics and manufacturing companies that wants a distribution center, because this is also distribution centers for manufacturing companies. So the risk is in the middle of both, of the flex and the manufacturing. So you have a medium cap rate here in the middle of both. And then finally we have the manufacturing. Okay, this is the most stable companies. We are talking about SP 500 companies, you know, companies that have been on the market like for 30 or 50 years or maybe more. Okay, so this is the more credit worthy companies. So that ends up showing on the cap rate. So the cap rate is low because these are the most credit worthy companies. Okay, so that's the difference on the three types of sub-property types on industrial. And the next whiteboard, I'm going to show you an example of how rents or an investment for three different properties would look like. Okay, so let's suppose we have $1 million and we are looking to invest in one of those three properties. How much space can we buy with $1 million of each property? Let's figure out. So we have this $1 million and we have a flex, a warehouse, and a manufacturing building. So the cap rate, as I mentioned, on the flex is the highest, okay, because it's the more risk. Then we have a 9% on the flex, and then we have on the warehouse we have an 8. And in manufacturing we have a 7 because we have a AAA credit tenant, AAA tenant. Okay, so the rents are 18 per square feet in the flex space. In warehouse are a little bit cheaper, 16 per square feet. And then in manufacturing, since we need power and all this infrastructure, the rents are the highest, $20 per square feet. But then the net operating income we have for $1 million, we have 90K. Okay, we have $90,000 on the flex space. On the warehouse, we have 1 million times 8%, $80,000. And last, in the manufacturing, we have 7% times 1 million, we have $70,000. So how much space can we purchase with $1 million? We have to divide the net operating income between the rent per square feet, and we get 5,000 square feet on the flex space we can buy with $1 million. And then same thing on the warehouse, we divide 80,000 by 16 per square feet, and we can buy the same $5,000 square feet. And then lastly, on the manufacturing, same thing, we divide 70,000 by $20 per square feet, and we get 3,500 square feet we can buy in the manufacturing space. Since warehouse and manufacturing spaces are usually 20,000 square feet and bigger spaces, then we cannot purchase, at least alone, we cannot purchase a warehouse or manufacturing building. So we must go with the flex space with 1 million. We can purchase a 5,000 square feet flex space, which is average on the flex spaces. So with that million, we are good with the flex, and we are getting $90,000 for $1 million on the flex space. In this video, I teach you the 3 main subtypes of industrial buildings, their features, and how much will you make by investing $1 million in each of them. But what other kind of industrial buildings do you know? Maybe cold storage or other one? Tell me, have you invested in other kind of property? Write it on the comments. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you like it. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up. Really helps me a lot. And if you want to keep watching videos like this, hit the subscribe button, and that way you will get notified every time I upload a new video. If you want to invest in commercial real estate, but maybe you don't have the time or the money to start with, you can join my exclusive investor club. My investors start investing by $20,000 US, and the best part of it, it's totally stress-free. I manage everything. You can join by clicking on the link on the description, and that way you will receive an email every time I found an investment opportunity for you. Thank you for reaching this point of the video. I see you on the next one. But first, I will leave you with 2 more videos.